have prediabetes, doc. What should I eat? You know, in my clinic, I get asked this question, questions about nutrition in general, or this question in particular, probably more than any other question. Hey, I'm Dr. Topher Fox, endocrinologist in Superior, Colorado. Today, we are chatting about pre-diabetes nutrition and what is the best diet? Can we even answer this question? I was recently reading a study that showed some pretty dramatic benefits to a whole food plant-based diet. People who switched to that style from their standard diet, called that the standard American diet, they became more sensitive to insulin, they lost weight, even though they weren't really focusing on how much to eat. They were just focusing on following a whole food plant-based diet. Yet, on the other hand, if we look at something like Virta Health, many of you may know Virta, which is a program for folks with diabetes that emphasizes a ketogenic diet. And they have some really good data as well, that a ketogenic diet can provide some pretty dramatic benefits for controlling blood sugar and controlling body weight. So when I think about it, whole food, plant-based, ketogenic, these are almost directly opposite each other. How can they both be right? How can they both be right? Well, I think that for me, the answer comes down to this and some tips that I want to share with you today. So number one, the answer is that there's probably more than one right answer to this question. There's more than one way to solve this riddle of what is the best nutrition for somebody with prediabetes. And ultimately, what I care about, put a single person in front of me in clinic or in one of our coaching programs, and really what I care about is how do we get this one person to succeed? And to succeed, you really need sustainable change that is consistent over time. So healthy changes, consistent over a long period of time. So it doesn't matter what works for your neighbor or your coworker or your mom. It's got to be sustainable for you. It's got to be a sustainable problem that you can maintain over the long term. And, you know, I think we've talked about food in this group before, on these trainings before. And, you know, I like to think of the standard American diet as being at the bottom of a bowl. So standard American diet, lots of added sugar, refined grains, highly processed foods. It's at the bottom of a bowl. It's kind of slowly killing our population. And if you move away from the standard American diet, almost any direction, whether it's toward Mediterranean or paleo or keto or whole food plant-based, you move toward a program that emphasizes quality foods, whole foods, quality carbohydrate, quality protein, quality fat. It's going to be moving up, right? You're going to go up the side of the bowl. So here's what I want you to think about today. You know, this is just a very broad stroke, but in a general way, we can think about three dials that we can turn when it comes to nutrition. We can think about what to eat, so that's going to be dietary style. We can think about how much to eat, and we can think about when to eat. And each of these dials can be manipulated for you to help you find what works best for you in your body. What do you like to eat? How do you like to eat? And how can you do this in a healthy way that's going to get you the results that you want? So as an example, what to eat. Again, whole foods. We want to think about the 5 rules for every healthy nutrition plan. They're going to emphasize plants, in particular non-starchy vegetables, but vegetables, fruits are going to be key for just about every plan. Don't have to eat fruits if you don't want to, but they're going to emphasize vegetables, and then we're going to avoid or limit 4 things. Added sugar, sugar-sweetened beverages, refined grains, highly processed foods. Every healthy nutrition plan is going to do one of those things. So we want to move away from the bottom of the bowl. That's really what to eat. How much to eat? How much to eat? Well, obviously we want to support the goal to control our blood sugar and to reach the body weight target that is going to be healthy for you. So when we think about what to eat, we want to emphasize unprocessed whole foods, quality carbohydrates, quality fats, quality proteins. We want to avoid the added sugars, the highly processed foods. And as we think about how much to eat, I'll give you this one tip, which is things that have protein or fiber seem to be particularly filling. So focusing on making sure that you have adequate protein and fiber with each of your meals, and potentially eating those first may help you to decrease the quantity that you eat. You know, in Okinawa, they have a phrase, hara hachi bu, that they want to push away from the table. Push away from the table when they're 80% full. And it may be that stopping when you're 80% full versus 100% full is one of the differences between maintaining a healthy weight and gaining weight. Finally, the third dial that we can think about is when to eat. And so right now, in this time of age, 2020, intermittent fasting, or what we call time-restricted feeding, has had a resurgence, a growth in popularity, and it looks to be a great tool for a lot of people. So when we think about what to eat, very general principles are if you can create a larger gap between when you eat your last meal and when you go to bed, that's going to be good. If you can create a larger gap between when you eat your last meal and then when on the next morning you eat your first meal, that's also going to be good. So a longer fasting window, 12 hours, 16 hours, even 18 or 20 hours, some people are trying. And then finally, if you can shift the calories in your day, if you can shift them to earlier in the day, other way around, shift them to earlier in the day, then generally that is going to be good for you as well. So this idea to eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, dinner like a pauper, if we can shift calories earlier in the day, that's going to be good for us as well. So anyway, think about those three dials. Think about finding the solution that works for you, building the plan that will work for you. And as always, there'll be more nutrition training coming along with movement, exercise, sleep, and how to fight this guy, the dragon, so that you can be the hero in your own life. Hey, wish you peace. Take care.